name is Max Young. I'm the CEO of Capital BPM. I'm here today with Terry Camerlengo, who is Terry, the Senior Director of Technology for Wellpoint. Is that correct?
Just director of technology at Wellpoint Labs. Yeah.
Okay, I keep wanting to promote you. Okay, so Terry, do you mind giving us a little bit of background on yourself? Your education, how long you've been doing this, what your interests are, and then let's just kind of just have a conversation around
Yeah,
automation.
sure. So, I've been in the software tech industry for about 25 years. I worked primarily as a software developer, various companies. Also at university level, I worked at a cancer center and at a contract research organization. Ohio State and Battelle is some of my background. I have a computer science degree and also a master's in bioinformatics. And then later on, I went and picked up another master's that I'm very close to completing. I have like one class in machine learning and artificial intelligence from Georgia Tech. Um, and I've worked in clinical informatics space and bioinformatics. I also worked in traditional enterprise computing, so software development, C Sharp, .NET, Java systems, traditional, typical enterprise computing.
Yeah, and just to not let you get away with being too modest, you've also written a couple of books and you have a degree in philosophy. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is right. Yeah, so one of the books was with you. You were the lead author on it. I also have some from my graduate school days. I have some publications there too.
Very nice. Very nice. So, Terry, tell me a little bit about what sort of problems you're trying to solve at WellPoint and why you chose Camunda to help you do it.
Well, to be fair, George Koutenarian, the CEO and founder of Wellpoint, chose Camunda and business process orchestration before I got there. But I think I could speak for him. The reason he did it was he wanted to build the company's technology initiatives with process-oriented thinking. He wanted to bring the stakeholders in the business along with the development process
Mhm.
so they could be partners. He wanted there to be more transparency to the business and the stakeholders, the leadership. And I think these were really good features that business process management and Camunda in particular allow for.
That makes sense. George has degrees from Stanford and Columbia, right? So he's actually very educated around
Uh,
business.
Berkeley,
Berkeley. Don't.
University of Chicago, and Columbia.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, don't tell him I confused
He may end up
Berkeley.
watching this.
I know. I'm in trouble now.
He's really a amazing person. He's really a wizard of
Yeah.
finance and real estate, and also like I'm surprised at like how much he knows about technology. So like he was the one who decided on BPM.
Yeah.
Like that was a very instinctive, a very deep call, I think, you know.
I remember one of the things that you told me in a different conversation was this sort of aha moment that you had with his co-founder Angela, where you were like describing something on a process. Would you mind replaying that?
Yeah, so this is what I was saying, like having the business users as a stakeholder in the development process. So Angela Koutenarian is George's sister. She kind of runs the operations of the company, like the actual clinical footprint of the
Mhm.
caregiving side of the business. And we were using Camunda and BPM to develop a medication ordering system.
Mhm.
And one day she just walks in the room and we're trying to figure out something on the process and we're having a problem with something. And she just looks at the board, she sees the business process. And she's not a programmer or anything. She understands the clinical side, geriatrics and things
Mhm.
of that. And she walks in, she looks at the process, she goes, no, move this step here, move this over here, that'll solve your problem. So like
Yeah.
I was just really shocked
Yeah.
that someone could come in, have limited exposure to this process and be able to like do process redesign right there with the technical staff. And I think that was a pretty powerful moment for me that says, hey, this is why we need to
Yeah.
partner with the leadership. And like BPM is for at least the core processes in the company, like this is very useful. Yeah.
I love those kinds of moments when like the business takes their rightful seat as the driver of what you're building
Yeah.
and tells you what should happen. And I remember meeting Angela in New York in 2025 at CamundaCon. She's very impressive, very sharp, and
Mhm.
I'm not surprised that she was able to come in and sort of provide that leadership.
Yeah.
That modeling is one of my favorite features. What are some of your other features within Camunda that you're excited about?
Well, we just came back from CamundaCon
That's
in
right.
Amsterdam, and they talked about something called Process OS.
Hmm.
This is the new feature you're asking about, yeah.
Yeah.
And this seems very intriguing. Like they didn't give a lot of information about it. It seems like it's a coding agent for processes. That's how I took it away.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we're looking at that. It's in beta right now. We're not part of the beta. But it seems like that's something to look for. I also met with a lot of the engineers at CommundaCon, and they had a UX lab I went into, and it turns out that some of the things that are coming in the next version, which I think is third quarter,
Hmm.
is a sort of advanced auditing capability of your ad hoc sub-processes. So like
Yeah.
you deploy these agents, but what the heck are the agents doing? Why are they making the choices they make?
Yeah.
What input, decision points did they have to do what they did? And so, like right now, a lot of it's not very transparent, but now Camunda is working on bringing this transparency out so we could audit the decisions underneath. The other thing that they're going to add is, at least I asked for this. I think they're looking at it. Is this idea of reporting the credit usage of the models? So, like when you're
Oh,
using all these agents, you're deploying all this stuff through, you might want to know, hey, what are these various agents costing us? Like, what are the models in terms of credits? Why is our AWS bill going through the roof? We need to know these sort of things.
yeah.
And, that brings up another point that is starting to become a reality for a lot of organizations is if you have an ad hoc sub-process, say, we'll bring it to Camunda, you have an ad hoc
Actually,
sub-process.
let me stop you. What is an ad hoc sub process for those of us, for people who
Oh,
may be
so
listening
it's
who
it's
don't know?
essentially a process that has a lot of sub steps in it, and the agent or the LLM at the top decides how to delegate. If that agent has an LLM that's like the latest Claude model, the most
Hmm.
expensive advanced model, but you're just asking it something really simple
Right.
with a simple prompt, well, you don't need that expensive one. Why burn those credits? Use an older, less expensive model and
Exactly.
save the money, especially if this is a high usage process where you have thousands of them a week or a month happening. You really don't want to pay for that for just something simple that an old, less expensive one. So that's something to start looking at. And I think these new features that are coming out will help bring that to the
Yeah.
to the front so that you could be more aware of what's going on underneath the hood.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. We're actually seeing that with some of our customers where they are actually putting a decision table ahead of the ad hoc sub process.
Oh,
And then the decision table qualifies the question and determines at runtime which actual LLM should be executing it. Hey, is this something that our homebrew thing on Opera can do, or do we need Claude or OpenAI or Grok or whatever the case may be, depending on its specialization? So that
yeah.
ability to sort of intelligently discriminate, I think, is really interesting, right?
Mhm.
I think
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
excited about that. You were actually a featured speaker at CommandaCon, and one of the things that you said that got a big laugh during your presentation was, MCP, whatever that is, right? And I remember thinking at the time, everyone talks about it, but they don't actually know what it is. What is an MCP, and how does it fit into automation and being able to use process intelligently?
So MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. So that was what I was referring to. Like, what the heck does that mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, people say it like it means something, and then you're like, well, what does
what is it?
that mean? And
But
nobody knows.
but what it is it's a way to use an LLM essentially to decide which API or database query to
Mhm.
use. It's so you provide so like there's a way to annotate these MCP servers and so that you could tell it, hey, here is what I do. This is a
Right.
tool. I do this. If you have any question about this, you know,
Yeah.
this is the API you want to use. This is the function call you want. And so the LLM could interrogate the
Yeah.
server and direct the call to the right. And that's how we use it. So we have like 5 different systems, all with different information, and we put a chat bot in front of them so that a user could use natural language
Yeah.
to sort of get the answer out of all this. Let the MCP figure out where to find the information. The user just has to ask a question in a chatbot, and it'll pull it from the right system. So that's how we're using it now. We just started to do this, so I don't really have enough data to know like what
Sure.
works, what doesn't. But this is all very new, so we just talked about it last week. Yeah.
Well, speaking of your actual processes, what measurable improvements have you seen in terms of how Camunda and orchestration automation have helped you guys?
We spoke about this at CamelingoCon 2025. We have
Hmm.
the medication ordering system. And this was before we automated this process, it was fully manual. And we estimated that each medication order took about 15 minutes.
Okay.
So we put a deterministic process with an AI document
Hmm.
component where you can read documents and
Yeah.
extract information for downstream. And when this works, which works about 85% of the time, we save about the whole 15 minutes, right? Per
Nice.
order. Every day we have, 20, 30 orders. But as we grow, each house, each facility, this
Yeah.
number is only going to increase. So you start adding those numbers, it's a real savings. Yeah.
I remember that was one of the things that George was really excited about is that you're sort of baking in scalability. So whether it's 30 beds or 300 or 3,000,
Yeah.
you know that you have a system that can keep up with your demand.
Yeah.
And that gives a lot of confidence when you're thinking about, expanding or reaching out for new opportunities. I thought that was very compelling. And it's the thing I really like, where the nuts and bolts of the nerd stuff that you and I do becomes pragmatic and actually solves a real business problem. So someone is getting the right order and we have, another 14 and a half minutes that we can devote to their care as opposed to the mechanics of making sure they get the medication, right?
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Um, so tell me a little bit about how you guys chose a partner, why you decided on Capital BPM, and what your experience has been like.
So again, this predates me a little because you were
Sure.
already working with Wellpoint before I arrived. But my understanding is Sean Rocha from Camunda
Mhm.
recommended Capital BPM,
Yep.
and you helped us develop the medication ordering system. It was very successful, and so now we pulled you in on 2 additional projects.
Right.
One, I don't want to say what the name. One of them was the one we just talked about,
Yep.
which was residential admission processes. And we have another one that you guys are helping us with. So yeah, you've been a very good partner to us. I work very well with your team, especially Sergey. I think he's we're gonna try to steal him from you if we can. Like he's really great to work with. We like him. Yeah, so it's been a very good experience, and we've had a lot of success so far. So
Okay, great, great. So let me ask you a couple more questions here.
yeah.
So you guys are already using AI in ways that have nothing to do with Commando. Do you see a convergence in how all that comes together? Do you see sort of a natural like click and clack between using automation and using Commando, or are there places where they're completely separate?
So when we say AI is a pretty wide net.
It is a
We're
wide net.
talking probably most about LLMs and coding assistants and
Mhm.
ad hoc, agentic workflows. But there's also like this other realm of things like machine learning and reinforcement learning and deep learning. And I think I'm answering your question. If I'm not, stop me. But from the community side, I think as we develop our processes, I think we tend to think deterministic
Mhm.
until we see, okay, we need dynamic and we need to put an agent in here. And that's when the process starts to look like a spaghetti thing and
Right.
you have all these possible. So that's how we're using, I think about AI in terms of our Camunda processes. But outside of that, I think the real value for Wellpoint
Hmm.
is that we have these systems, we have these processes, we have user interaction. All this can be thought of as data.
Hmm.
And this is data that we're generating constantly. We have it in documents, Slack messages, all over the place. And really, what we're looking at is how do we take that proprietary information and train our own models, whether
Yeah.
it's using something like RAG,
Right.
retrieval augmented generation, or LoRa, or small language models, or even on the machine learning side, can we use a classifier or a supervised learning model to build like an anomaly detection system? So I think
Yeah.
that's really where, we want to go, like where we can use our own data to
Yeah.
generate our own proprietary models that you can't get in the L, because that would become our secret sauce long term.
Yeah. I think that anomaly detection thing is going to fit really, really well into that super secret project that we can't talk about right now. But I think
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
I think that's going to be really, really exciting. Terry, thank you very much for taking time to talk to us
It
today.
was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it.
Okay.